Right. Hello, everybody. How we all doing? Manchester City 3, Manchester United 1 in the Manchester Derby. We lose the Derby. Um, tough, tough, tough to take the medicine at the end of that one. We went out there, we did what we could. I think Ten Hag set up his team correctly. And we're gonna get into a lot more, but just real quick, smash the like button, please. Really helps out. Subscribe if you haven't already. A lot of people watching this, they're not subscribers, but they keep coming back to watch. Hit the subscribe button. Uh, so you're in here, be a member, become part of the community. Get involved in the live chat, and also make sure you turn on the notification bell so we know when when we are going live. But let's get straight into the match, and I want to start off by saying. Um, I think United did what United could. I predicted to lose. I think many others predicted to lose. I think a lot of people predicted to lose in certain different ways. There was some people saying we were gonna get smashed 5 or 6. I didn't believe that. I saw more of a 2-0 situation kind of thing, maybe even a 3-1. I thought maybe somehow we could get a goal. I was more concerned about the way that we played the previous 2 matches. The levels didn't look up to it, and I was concerned that they were going to bring those levels into this match. I don't think they did bring those levels into that match. I think the levels were higher. I think they were to a certain point. It was good enough for a while, but I said this before. I'm going to say it again. We don't have a squad. We do not have a squad. We have 11 players. We lose a couple players out of those 11 players, and we do not have a squad. And it was one of the reasons why we lost this match. The squad depth is non-existent. The ability in the squad depth is not good enough, and it's crap. And we will continue to not compete in the Premier League until that is fixed. You cannot compete in this league if you do not have a team. And you look at that team, and it's not a team. It's not a team. It's not a real team. It's not a real squad. It's not a real squad. It's led to the reason why we lose. Look at the people City are bringing off of their bench. They offer something different, but they also have ability. They also have, they perform. They can add something to the game. We're bringing on youngsters. I love to see youngsters. But in a game like that, that ability in those youngsters, they're not there yet. They're not there yet. And then we don't have replacements for people like Bruno Fernandes, who, if he's not playing good, who you putting in there? Because that's a real problem. Bruno Fernandes, he creates the most chances for our team. If he's playing like crap, who you putting in there? There's nobody there. There's nobody to say potentially they might play better than Bruno. There's nobody there, and we have that in different areas of the pitch. I mean, the only real striker we have is Rasmus Højlund. He's out, he's injured, right? We lose him. We don't have a striker. We lost Luke Shaw. Now, technically, we have Luke Shaw and Malacia, but technically, we've been with one left back because Malacia, who knows what the hell has happened to him, but it doesn't even look like he's going to come back by the end of the season. Luke Shaw is out for the end of the season, so we're playing without a left back. We got Lindelof playing there, who, listen, he tries his best, but that's not his position. His abilities aren't suited for that. He doesn't got the speed. He did what he could. Manchester City obviously targeted that. Pep obviously targeted that because that was well known that we don't have a left back, and most likely whoever was going to play there, Lindelof or Amrabat, doesn't matter regardless. They ain't fast enough, and they cannot handle wingers. In the end, he put on Kumbala, put him on the right, shifted Delo to the left, didn't help. Kumbala, he ain't got speed either. He's not really a right back. He's a center back. And listen, for anybody that's going at Eric Ten Hag for substitutions, this and that, this is why I'm saying we don't have a squad. what is the guy supposed to do? What is the guy supposed to do? Because he made changes, right? And you might blame him for taking long to make changes, or he didn't make the certain changes you want. But when you don't have a squad, what is the point of making the changes? Because when you make the changes and you don't have a squad and you don't have squad depth, right? We see the results of what we saw at the end of that match. When we made the changes, we got worse. We lost the game. And the chances that we had diminished significantly. They diminished significantly. All right? Because we don't have a team. We don't have a real team. We don't have a real squad. We have 11 players, and after 11 players, we have a collection of random players that aren't good enough, don't fit our style, aren't up to the ability, and they don't offer something in terms of improvement to come in and add something to the game. So we don't have any of that. So I think with what Eric Ten Hag had versus the opponent that he has to play today, I think Eric Ten Hag did what he could. I think he did as well as he could. I think the way he lined up the team and started the match, I think was the best possibility that he could do. I don't think there was much that he could do other than what he did. I think playing a false nine was the correct tactical decision. I think the players that he played was the best team that we could probably field. And the players tried, they gave it their best. We had a game plan, we stuck to it. It was a negative game plan, but listen, we're talking about we don't have the ability. We're talking about we don't have the players and we don't have the squad. There's no other way to play that game. There's no other way to play that game. The only way you play that game is to do what we did, because Manchester City, they want space. They want to open you up. They want to be able to, attack quick. And the only way, if you can't go toe to toe with them, which we can't because we don't, the players don't have the ability, right? You have to play in a way that's going to frustrate him. And it worked for a while. But when we needed some reinforcements and we got more tired, because they kept trying to grind us down, we collapsed. And you know what? It was pretty much inevitable unless somehow we got a second goal, but we didn't get a lot going forward. And some of the problem is that, when we get the ball back from when Manchester City do make their rare mistake, we give it back too far quickly, too immediately. There's no way for us to. We had a little moment in the game. It was a 5-minute spell where we were passing the ball around, we were holding it, and we were doing good. But besides that, we couldn't do anything with it. Couple things. Marcus Rashford, I think that Phil Foden goal, the first one, I think was bullshit. Because it came directly off of the play that Marcus Rashford got fouled. That to me is a foul, and it's a foul because the referee gave 2 fouls for the same exact shit against us to Manchester City. The same exact thing. The only difference was Rashford was actually through on goal, and they weren't even through on goal in their situation, and he gave them the foul, and he didn't give Rashford the foul. And Rashford did not dive because it doesn't make sense for Rashford to dive. He had the ball, he had space, so he didn't need to dive. There was nothing to win out of that situation diving. He had the ball, he was in control of the ball, he had space, he was in a one-on-one, technically, right? With Kyle Walker. There's no reason for him to dive there. He wasn't gonna lose he might have lost the ball after, but it wasn't like it was an immediate threat. To me, it was a foul. Referee didn't give the foul. Manchester City take the ball, they go up the field, they score that goal. To me, that play should never happen because it should have been a completely different play. But listen, when you play in a light blue shirt, you play with different rules. We've seen it in multiple different matches, not just against United. It happens in a lot of games that they play against a lot of different people. If you wear a light blue shirt, you play with different rules, apparently. I don't know what that's all about. Because even the second part with Edison, coming out and making the tackle on Garnacho. I don't care what anybody says. I really don't give a crap. That was a foul. It was a foul because I'm telling you right now, if that tackle was made in the midfield by a midfield player on another player, they're giving a foul for the follow-through. He followed through with his other leg. It was dangerous. It was wild. It doesn't matter if he got the ball because there has been at least 5 different examples of this in the Premier League where somebody makes a tackle and that follow-through leg makes contact and it makes it dangerous and completely takes out the player, and they are given red cards, yellow cards, fouls. And none of that was given. To me, it was a foul. That trailing leg, that follow-through leg, that is an absolute foul. It's dangerous. And if somebody like Casemiro made that in the midfield, you bet your ass he's getting at least booked and a foul given against him. So, it's absolutely absurd. Now, that's not the whole reason why we lost the match, but it's a contributing factor. It didn't help us. We're up against the odds. We're the underdogs. And we suffered because of that, but we also suffered because of the things that I talked about. We don't have squad depth. We don't have a team. I'm to the point, I don't know, I'm a bit confused of how we go down this route. Because part of me wants to take Sir Jim and tell him, rip this shit apart, rip it apart, sell 10, because this is not a squad. So how you fix that? You rip it apart and start over again and start new and rebuild it properly. But at the same time, you say rip it apart and rebuild it. Does that include the manager? Some people would argue yes. If you're going to rip it apart and rebuild it from brand new, you remove the manager. But for me, I still cannot go at the manager because we've had 5 of them. They've all failed. You fire him and you don't make the changes that are necessary that we need to make in terms of personnel and on the pitch and personnel above the manager, and you bring in another 5 managers, they will fail. So while some people might not think the manager is good enough, there is a problem that is bigger than the manager that needs to be solved before the manager. Personally, I think we need to fix the squad, and I think we need to fix the people above the manager to fix the recruitment, because the recruitment has been atrocious, and there's prime examples of this. I mean, Amrabat, we chased him all summer. Recruitment atrocious. He came on and gave Manchester City a goal. He might as well have went on there, put on a fucking light blue shirt, and walked the ball into the back of the net of United's net. Because I don't know what the fuck that was about. We spent all summer chasing this guy, and he ain't up to it, bro. He ain't up to it. Send him back to fucking Italy. And listen, I'm going harsh on him, and it's not just him because I got some other shit that I gotta say too. But regardless of that, this is just examples. We're running out of left backs. I think Johnny Evans might be the signing of the summer, and that will tell you how our recruitment is a fucking utter disaster and contributes to why we cannot compete, contributes to the reason as to why we are in the situation we are in. Johnny Evans, who I think played absolutely solid and absolutely fantastic. I think he was absolutely solid. He's been solid all season. A guy that was going to retire, a guy that was on a team that got relegated to the championship, and he's been one of our summer signings. If that doesn't tell you that the recruitment at the club is a fucking mess, then I don't know how to explain it to you in any other way. Because people want to go and they want to look at minute details and go after the manager and talk about tactics and this and that. That's fine. That's fine if you're in a normal situation. We haven't been in a normal situation for 10 fucking years. We haven't been successful for 10 years. 5 different managers haven't been successful for 10 years. So you're going to go at the manager. The manager is the least of our problems right now. You see the golf in class, in the players, in the squad depth. We don't have squad depth. We don't have a team. You cannot compete in this league and not have a team. We don't have a team. Liverpool have a team. Arsenal have a team. Manchester City have a team. Aston Villa have probably more of a team than we do because it's a squad that's put together correctly. We don't. Tottenham probably have a squad put together more correctly than us. We don't have it. We don't have it. These players aren't it. There's too many of them that have been collected together, put together. This squad was not put together correctly. And some of it can go on Ten Hag, but at the end of the day, the manager should never have full control. But that was the situation that we were in. Let complete morons like Ed Woodward, Richard Arnold and John Murtaugh and the Glazers, let them run around and let them do, the recruitment, and let them try and do negotiations and let them run the scouting department. Or we take a shot on a manager because he's the only football person at the club to try and do the recruitment. And you know what? It hasn't worked out. And Ten Hag is at fault for some of that shit. But at the end of the day, it should have never been his responsibility. And this is why we need to move forward. Because this is fixable. This is fixable. This is a 2-3 season fixable thing if they do it the correct way. And the recruitment is good and the recruitment is right. But listen, when they're bringing on Julian Alvarez, a player that Ralph Rangnick recommended, I fucking hate seeing it every time because you know what? We had the opportunity to have that kid with us and we could have used him because we don't got somebody else at the club, dude. We don't have somebody else at the club and we could have used Julian Alvarez. But the people running our club are so incompetent. What did they do? They ignored Ralph Rangnick. And now he comes on for Manchester City against us, right? While we're bringing on three youth players, three kids, right? That they aren't ready for this. They're not ready for this. The rest of the squad is not playing to the levels to match Manchester City. We're sitting back. We're defending like a fucking League One team. But what other option do we have? Because I tell you right now, if we went into that match and we tried to play toe to toe, the score line on the thumbnail would say 6-0. It would say 6-0 to Manchester City. There is no way in hell we would go there and play toe-to-toe with them. As much as I want to see it, as much as I want us to go there and play them off the park and beat them and be competitive, with this squad right now, there is no chance in hell that that would ever happen. And that's why this thing needs to be ripped apart. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be changed. It cannot continue the way it is. And what sucks about this is I've said it before and I'll say it again. I wish I can press a button and we can just end the season now. I don't care. I don't care where we finish because you know what? It's irrelevant at this point because we need to rip shit apart and rebuild. And you can only get there when the season ends and the window opens and we have our guys in place. This season is a lost cause. I think top 4 is out of our hands. Is out of our hands, especially with the way we keep going. We get a player back, we get 2 players back, we lose 2 players. It's just we don't have the squad to compete. So I don't think we have the squad to get us over the finish line to make top 4. I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think we're in the circumstances of getting our players to stay fit enough. We keep losing players. Some players we ain't getting back for the rest of the season. And we're in trouble. And it's the unfortunate thing because we had a good February. We went on a 7-game run, unbeaten. We lost to Fulham, which we shouldn't have, and we couldn't afford to drop points in the manner that we did because our next match was this match, and we were always the underdog, and we were always going to drop points in this match. Rashford gave us a little bit of hope. What a strike that was. But that was early on, and the performance that followed didn't capitalize on that. It didn't capitalize on that. I mean, I think we had like 1 touch in their box, maybe. The game plan was there, but they adjusted real quick. We had a couple opportunities in the beginning. We were catching them with the ball over the top. They were playing really high. They wanted to come and smash us early. We were defending really compact. I think we did a very good job of that. I think we were getting bodies in the way of the ball. I think we did a good job of making it frustrating for them. But at the end of the day, we didn't get many chances. We didn't capitalize on the few opportunities that we did. I think it was an unlucky bounce for Rashford on the breakaway that was sent to him early on in the game. If the ball bounced a little bit lower, he could have chested it and it could have helped him on his run. That, things like that happen. Not every ball is gonna be perfect for you. It's a game of football. It was unlucky that it happened. He didn't control it correctly. There was another opportunity where Bruno didn't control the ball and the ball came into him. I think we had a good opportunity there. So it just, listen, this is the way things go. I expected to lose um more moderately than some other people, right? I think Onana had a very good game. You can question the last goal from Foden. I think he should have saved it. I think he could have saved it, but there were so many other things that happened before that in the play that he's not the only one that's at fault for that goal. There's other people at fault for that goal. This squad is at fault for that goal. Otherwise, overall, over the consistency of the whole thing, I think he had a very good performance. I think Delo had a very good performance. Um, I think Varane had a very good performance. I think Evans had a very good performance. I think Casemiro had a pretty good performance. I think Maino played pretty decent. I think McTominay was non-existent. I think Rashford was kind of non-existent. I think Bruno didn't play well. Am I missing anybody? Lindelof tried his best, struggled. Not a left back, but in terms of performance, not very good for a left back. Um, and then we're bringing on kids. Because look at the options on the bench. What are you gonna do? This is why he kept on the players as long as he could, because what happened? He made the changes and that game was totally 110% lost. We got worse. And this is why I keep saying we don't have a squad. Because when you make changes, your changes are supposed to try and come in and make an impact, make an improvement. There's a player not playing well, take him off, put on somebody else. Have him add something to the game, a different dynamic, a different skill, a different ability, a different vision that's going on the pitch. We don't have that. He made the substitutions, we got worse. And this is not the first time that this has been said. This has been said multiple times throughout this season. We've made substitutions and we've gotten worse. And I'm getting tired of them blaming the manager for that because it ain't his fault. It ain't his fault. What is he supposed to do if you don't have the squad? If you don't have the depth in the squad, there's no ability. I don't understand because I see this shit all over online and people are saying this and that. It's mind-boggling that people want to go at just the manager. We have so many issues at this squad that are bigger than the manager. And you change the manager and you don't change those issues, it's not going to do nothing for us. Now, I'm taking a look online because I want to see any reaction. Ten Hag's out here speaking. He's saying Ten Hag on the damage of losing this year on, we are really progressing and you have to get some points back. Everyone can beat everyone and things can quickly turn around. Listen, I'm going to say it again. I know people read these, they get infuriated by the shit he says. Again, it's all like a PR type of thing from him. He's never going to go to the media. He's never going to give the truth. Some people don't like that shit. I don't care because the media just want to run stories. They want sound bites. And in my opinion, why would you give the media anything? Some people look at it as, well, he's not being truthful to the fans. Well, be a smarter fan then. Read in between the lines. You know what's going on. You see your squad. You know your thing. And don't be ignorant. Okay? He's not a dumb person. He knows what's going on. He sees the same thing that you see. But at the end of the day, he's on the inside. We're on the outside. He sees them every day at training. He knows who's not up to it and who's not what. That's a prime example. Some people argued before the match started that, why didn't Amrabat start the match and he put Lindelof in? You have your answer. I think Amrabat was very shaky last game, and I know it's not his position, but looked very uncomfortable playing in that position, and he's super slow. He don't got much to offer over Lindelof playing that position. And this in lies the problem that I keep talking about. We don't have squad depth. We don't have somebody to come and add value to the team. So how do you expect us to compete seriously? How do you expect us to perform? And how do you expect us to win? It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. And stacking is being trended. Listen, bunch of nonsense. Bunch of nonsense. We're fifth in the league. That can technically somehow still get us Champions League based on other shit. We shouldn't be relying on that. But in terms of what we're doing this season, the situation that we're in this season, I don't see. I don't see how you can just come to the determination it's all the manager and he's got to go and that's gonna solve our problems. Now I said in the beginning, and maybe there's some people that have joined us before, but I said I'm in between the spot of rip it all apart. Rip it all apart. We need a massive clear out at this club, and we need a massive recruitment at this club. We need to get in players that have ability, that have hunger. We need all of this. This needs to be done this summer. The recruitment needs to be improved this summer if we are going to be serious. If Sir Jim and Ineos and Omar Barada and Sir David Brailsford and whoever else they bring in, if they are serious and they want to do the job correctly, it needs to be done this summer because it should have been done years ago and it was never done, and we are witnessing the product of not doing it. This is the product. It is a collection of crap that does not go together, that does not fit together. And I've been saying this for videos and videos and videos, and I'm going to keep saying it because it is the truth. It is the truth, and I believe it is our probably top 2, if not the top 1 issue at this club. For me, it is the personnel above the manager and the playing squad, the recruitment, and the players that are recruited, and what the plan was to put these players together as a squad. It has been a total failure. It has been a failure for 10 years. They haven't done it. They've pretended like they've changed it. They might have even slightly changed certain things. They still went around. They still went about it the wrong way. The plan was still not good enough, and they didn't go to the levels that we need to go to do this. We need to tear this down. We need 9, 10 players sold. We need new 9, 10 players. We need to rebuild this squad 110%. It is the only way forward. It is the only way we will go to compete. Who you sell, who you move on, everybody will have a different opinion. But for me, I would do the removal of the backup players first. Bring in players that are not backups, that have the potential to take over starting positions from the players that we have. If you don't want Bruno Fernandes at this club, well, guess what? There's Amrabat, there's Scott McTominay, there's Van de Beek, who's, I know he's on loan, but he's still part of the squad. Get rid of them. I mean, there is Mason Mount, but he's been injured, and I don't know what we're going to do with him. But just as an example, you get rid of Scott McTominay, Van de Beek, or somebody. Get rid of 2 of them. Get rid of 3 of them. Somebody. And you bring in a player, 22, 23 years old, that can immediately put pressure on the starting player that starts in the game, on Bruno Fernandes, and has the potential to overtake his starting position immediately. Because if Bruno ain't performing, you put in this kid. This kid is hungry. He wants to prove something. He's younger, and that's why we need to replace the bench players, the squad depth. They gotta go first. I understand maybe some of the starting players that we have need to be moved on. Obviously, a lot of people talking about Rashford should be sold, Bruno should be sold. People considering selling Rafael Varane. People considering selling Casemiro. I get that. I think it's not even not valid. I think those are valid. But for me, I'm all about orders and processes. And I think the correct way to go about this would be to start with the backup players, because you look at the options Ten Hag had on the bench and they are non-existent. They don't add to the game. Now, people might argue he put on Anthony instead of Diallo. Diallo, in that situation, Diallo coming on ain't winning us that match, dude. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than one player. It's a squad issue. It's a squad issue. This is a team game. We are not in the position to be like, oh, we need to change one or two players and we're almost there. We're not there. We need to change the squad. We need to change this squad. We need to change the ability they have, the mentality they have. When they have the ball, I want people that have a strong mentality to attack, to take people on, but match it with the ability. You see that as an example in Lisandro Martinez. He is a warrior. He's not afraid. When he gets the ball in his feet, he never turns around and goes backwards. He always tries to progress the ball forward. You can't teach some of these players that. It's the same reason as to why Pep Guardiola has bought and sold 25 different players in 10 different positions. Because sometimes you just can't teach that shit to people. Sometimes it's just part of who they are, the way they think, and the way they view the game. And sometimes you cannot change somebody in those areas. So the only option is to remove them and replace them with somebody that already has that. And then you provide them a little bit of input, a little bit of advice, a little bit of help, a little bit of improvement to take them to the next level. But they already have that. We don't have that. And it's a pure prime example as to why it looks like we are so far off. But I promise you that we can fix this if it's done correctly. In the next 2 to 3 seasons, this can be turned around 110%. But it needs to be done in the correct way. It needs to be done in the correct way. And I think in terms of the match, listen, we were never going to have possession. We were never going to own the possession. We don't have the players to play that way. We don't have the players don't have the ability to do that. And I know it's sad. I don't want to see that shit. I'm not trying to defend that shit. But at the end of the day, I'm being real here. I'm being real. It's just the realistic, the reality of the situation. We don't. You think I want to see our team play like that? Like we're a fucking League One side in a League Cup game that has never been to the stage that we're at, and we somehow scored a lucky goal and now we're defending for our lives. You think I want to see that? No, but I knew that was coming because that's the reality of the situation. Because like I said, if you go toe to toe with the squad that we have versus the squad that they have, with the ability that they have versus the ability that our players have, we will get absolutely destroyed. And we would be sitting here talking about Manchester City beating us 5 or 6-0 instead of a 3-1. And it took them a while to get those goals. The third goal was just a gift from fucking Amrabat, so you could say it was 2-1. And then there's arguments for the 2-1. Because I think the first goal they scored was bullshit from the referee, which led to them, because it should have been a whole totally different scenario. And now maybe, then you go into the realms of if, ands, or buts, because who knows, maybe Foden scores a goal anyway, maybe they score a different way, but we won't know because it didn't happen. But, it is what it is. Top 4, I think, is out of our reach. If I'm gonna be real, I think it's out of our reach. I don't think it's achievable with the situation that we're going into. The lack of players keep getting injured. We can't field the consistent team. The lack of consistency of performing. I mean, listen, if the players performed the way they did today with the same intensity, right, but put a little bit more attacking intent into it, right? But if they took this level of energy that they had against City and they showed that against Fulham, we wouldn't have lost that match. But they didn't, and this is another problem with the squad, and this comes with the group of players, and so this is why I have such a hard problem. This is why I keep saying, I'm not saying Ten Hag is the answer. He might not be. He might be. He might not be. Some people have made their minds up already. That's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. But for me personally, I will. The manager has to be one of the last things that's got to go. Because if we keep making this argument that the recruitment should be done properly by the club and all this stuff, right? and we should be operating like a Bayern Munich or somebody to that level, right? Well, Bayern Munich do the same thing that we're asking for, right? When they hire a manager and they fire a manager, their club ethos doesn't change, their identity doesn't change, or it's not supposed to, or really hasn't. Um, and if that's what we're asking for, then why are we asking for the manager to be fired right now? Why are people going and asking for the manager to be sacked when this club is built in the completely wrong way? You can build the squad while having the manager there. He can aid in the building of the squad. I think he's good enough to do that. I think he showed it last year. I think where we went into was we didn't build on top of what he did last year. Other teams got better, and then we also suffered a shit ton of injury setbacks, and we don't have the proper squad depth. And I think we're seeing the results of that. I think that's the reality of the situation. Um, so for me, if that's the case, then let's fix all the other problems. And then when we get to that point of okay, those things are fixed, he's still not doing it. There's still a lack of improvement, or there should be a higher result of improvement, or we're not hitting the goals that we think we should at that moment with the squad that we built at that time. Then it's time for him to go and bring somebody else in. But I'm not in any disillusion that his job is not under threat. It is 110% up under threat, and I think it was always under threat regardless, because I've always held the opinion that when people make changes like we've made, where there's new owners and there's a new direction and there's a new idea, they tend to look and grab their own guys. They tend to they tend to bring somebody in because it's their hire and not go off of the old regime. Now, maybe the discussions they have going on in the background that they've had in private, maybe there's some sort of an agreement. Maybe they're going to allow him to try and build this out. Um, but we can only see when we get there. I hope they give him an opportunity, because I think it's still, one season good, one season bad. You got to give him the third season and see what he does with it. In my personal opinion, it's similar to De Zerbi at Brighton. He had a very good season. He's having a very tough season. I think Brighton is still doing good for Brighton in terms of position in the league, but you got to give the guy the third season. And I think the same thing goes for Eric Ten Hag. You got to give the guy the third season. Let's recruit a little bit better. Let's move players on that shouldn't be here. Let's do all the things that we've neglected to do over the past 10 years. Um, but listen, it was tough. We have to take our medicine. It's the reality of the situation. But again, I still don't think that we are, people, they like to exaggerate. I think they say we're 100 years away, we're 50 years away, we're 25. I don't think we are. I think we are 2 to 3 seasons of operating like a real football club with a real football plan by real football people. And I think you will see us where we are supposed to be, challenging, being competitive, and being a serious team. Arsenal was able to do it. They finished eighth twice. They changed around what went on upstairs and what worked with the managers. They stuck with the manager, and he was able to implement what he was trying to do. I feel like if we do something similar, I think we will see similar results, and I think we will be there. We will be there, definitely 110%. But otherwise, it is what it is. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I think we've ran this one long enough. We've hit about almost 40 minutes. So if you tuned in, thank you. If you hit the like button, thank you. If you subscribed, thank you. We appreciate you. If you have any thoughts, comments about anything that I said, about the match itself, about United, throw them down in the comments below. We respond to everybody um, as best as we can, as fast as we can. So thank you guys for tuning in. We really greatly appreciate you. We're going to end it here. We'll see you next week at some point. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be the day after or something like that for sure. Of course, if anything major breaks, we'll be there to cover it. So thank you guys. Try to enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I know it's a tough pill to swallow when you lose a derby. I hate these light blue bastards with a passion. They're super plastic. But otherwise, you know, thank you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Be good. Love you all. Thank you for supporting us. Until then, be good, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you guys.